Hi, I'm Elizabeth Swider, founder and president of There Geriatric Care Management, and this is a presentation about how to be an effective advocate for a client or loved one. Every day in our work with our care management clients, we see that life can become frustrating and discouraging for people who have difficulty perceiving, communicating, or traveling, especially when circumstances are unfamiliar. An advocate can provide valuable assistance by clarifying options, helping their client or loved one make their own choice based on their own values, communicating that choice, and doing the practical things necessary to implement the choice. Here are types of situations where advocacy is helpful. If someone has difficulty perceiving, communicating, or traveling. To have a life we love, we need a way to understand the world around us, to communicate our wishes, and to take the steps necessary to make our intentions into reality. This can be very challenging to people who have trouble hearing, seeing, writing, speaking, remembering, analyzing, or traveling from one location to another. Navigating unfamiliar circumstances, especially transitions. Many older people encounter difficult transitions and circumstances where they have little experience or control, undergoing medical tests and treatment, managing chronic health conditions, or moving to a new home or community. After the death of a spouse, they face taking over tasks previously done by their partner, managing money, preparing meals, maintaining a home, or arranging social engagements. Managing emergencies. In an emergency, many things need to happen quickly. For example, in a medical emergency, the healthcare team needs to know the patient's medical history, their current medications and allergies, their wishes for their care, who has authority to make decisions on their behalf, and how to contact loved ones. So what is an advocate? An advocate is a person that supports or promotes the interests of another. An advocacy relationship on its own carries no legal authority and is never meant to interfere with or supersede the judgment of another. It's very important to understand the difference between the role and powers of an advocate, an agent, and a guardian. An agent, under power of attorney, is someone to whom the client or loved one, which is called the principal, has given legal authority to conduct business on their behalf in accordance with the specifications of the agreement. Agents are not authorized to make decisions or take actions that go against the wishes of the principal. A guardian is a person who has been appointed by a judge to take care of a minor child or incompetent adult personally and or manage that person's affairs. Guardians are authorized to make decisions without the knowledge or consent of their ward. In some cases, a guardian makes decisions about a person and a conservator makes decisions about a person's finances. In these difficult and confusing circumstances that many older adults find themselves in, an advocate can help by clarifying options, helping their client or loved one make their own choice based on their own values, communicating that choice, and doing the practical things necessary to implement the choice. So to be an effective advocate, you should do the following, each of which we will discuss in more detail. Be present physically, mentally, and emotionally. Know the options and the best practices. Ask for informed choice. Communicate the choices to others. Handle the logistics. Create empowering solutions. And watch for gaps. So the first, be present. Be present physically, mentally, and emotionally. This is difficult for many family caregivers since they often live at a distance, they have many other family and professional responsibilities, and they have a lifetime of emotional baggage that has to be dealt with. Sometimes it's easier for everyone if a professional advocate participates as a neutral third party. A professional has the advantage of living nearby, being able to give their client all their attention, having professional boundaries, and having a fresh outlook on the elder and their situation. Know the options and best practices. As options become more complex and as service providers become more specialized, it's not easy to be aware of all the options. At There Geriatric Care Management, we're constantly updating our database of best practices and local service options. Feel free to give us a call and we'll tell you what we know. Your local area agency on aging is another good source of options. And be careful not to overstep your own expertise. An advocate doesn't have to be knowledgeable about everything. They just need to know who to contact. So connect to your client or a loved one to experts for advice in areas like healthcare, legal or financial matters, and other technical areas. Informed choice. This is the most important principle of advocacy. An advocate's role is to help their client or loved one make their own choice, then help them carry out that choice. It's not the role of the advocate to make the choice or lobby for a particular choice. It can be stressful or painful when a person's loved ones do not agree with their choice. It can bring enormous peace of mind to families when they can see that their loved one understands and accepts the potential risks and outcomes associated with their choice. Remember that if you feel the person you're advocating for is putting themselves in danger, you can always obtain assistance for the Adult Protective Services Agency in your area. Communicate. At There Geriatric Care Management, we know the miracle working properties of communication. So many things can become confused or obscure when a person has trouble hearing, seeing, or remembering. But an effective advocate can make vast improvements in the life of their client or loved ones simply by communicating preferences to loved ones or service providers. When communicating, always keep in mind the privacy of the person for which you're advocating. Many service providers, especially healthcare providers and financial professionals, require permission to speak with an advocate. Healthcare providers usually obtain this permission via a HIPAA release form. If your client or loved one has asked you to advocate for them in a healthcare setting, ask them to provide a HIPAA release. Each healthcare provider will have their own form. At There, our clients also provide a general HIPAA release so their healthcare providers can communicate with us. Your elder law attorney can provide you with such a form. Handling the logistics. Having options and making choices are just the first steps towards having a life we love. For many older adults, life becomes unmanageable when they can no longer drive to the places they need to go, organize their medications effectively, interface with the technology necessary to make things work, or remember all the small steps necessary to do things like get bills paid on time or arrange home repairs. To make your client or loved one's preferences really come to life, follow all the little details to the end until you see everything in place and operating. Create empowering solutions. Advocates are the most valuable in situations where things aren't working, so advocates are often solving problems. Older adults, meanwhile, are sometimes in situations where they feel powerless and vulnerable and therefore don't want to risk angering people who they fear could make their lives difficult. This is particularly the case for elders in medical or long-term care facilities. Advocates should be sensitive to this fear and earn the elders' trust that they won't make matters worse rather than making them better. Effective advocates should look for win-win solutions to problems. In protecting people we care about, it's easy to lay blame for problems and criticize the people, organizations, or systems involved. But to effectively advocate for the person we care about, we need to make collaborative, long-term solutions that work for everyone. These solutions can often be easily made by speaking positively and constructively with individual people who can be effective in making the change. And watch for gaps. A good advocate is on the alert for whatever new issues or opportunities arise, especially during transitions of any kind. Visit your client or loved one often, be visible in their life and their community, and make yourself a resource to the entire care team. So these are the principles of effective advocacy that we just reviewed. Be present, know the options, ask for informed choice, communicate, handle the logistics, create empowering solutions, and watch for gaps. These are the principles we use in our work at There. If you are advocating for someone and you're finding that it's a little bit more than you can handle in your role as their service provider or as their loved one, that's what we do at There Geriatric Care Management. And on this slide, I'm just showing you a few examples of the kinds of things that we do when we're advocating for our client. So if you find you need a little bit more help and doing the advocacy role that you've taken on, contact us and we should be able to help out. This is our contact information. I'm Elizabeth Swider. It's been a pleasure to be with you for this last little while, and good luck in your new role as an advocate.